Hi, I'm Greg.
I'm Jasmine.
Jasmine, nice to meet you, Jasmine.
Every day, thousands of animals are sitting in overcrowded shelters. They're not just lacking love, but also space and time. In the first half of 2025, 290,000 animals were euthanized. That's about 1,920 lives lost every day. As you can see, animal shelters all over the country are being overcrowded. More pets are coming in rather than being adopted out. But people just can't commit to the long-term ownership due to financial struggles, time commitment, housing restrictions, and many more reasons. This is where Companion Care comes in. We at Companion Care are building a website called Community Companion that bridges the gap between animal shelters and people who can provide safe, short-term foster homes. Instead of pushing for permanent adoption, like most apps and websites are doing, we are making fostering more flexible and accessible, whether it be a weekend, a month, or until adoption. Our website can be used by a variety of people, but we are mainly targeting younger generations such as Gen Z and Millennial, and people who are busy yet compassionate, people who want the experience of caring for a pet without the long-term commitment. At Companion Care, we're not just easing overcrowding, we're saving lives, one foster home at a time. Hello, I'm Ana Rodriguez, the CEO of Companion Care.
I'm Jasmine Seasonboom, the CFO of Companion Care.
So, we are focusing on two main problems. The first one being the overcrowding problem within U.S. animal organizations. In the first half of 2025, 2.8 million animals, such as cats and dogs, entered U.S. animal organizations. This is a concerning amount, especially at the fact that there's only 13,554 animal organizations in the U.S. For our second problem, we are trying to focus on the lack of companionship within people in the U.S. The percentages that you see here on the screen is the amount of people within different generations that feel loneliness, with the 67% being Gen Z and the 44% being baby boomers. This also proves why we're targeting the younger generations instead of the older generations. Also, there was a report in 2025 that said 50% of US adults said that they lacked companionship and feel like they want a companion out there. This leads us to our solution. Our solution is a website that bridges the gap between animal shelters with the overcrowding problem and people who are looking for that companion that they need. You'll be able to see more of the solution in the prototype within the pitch deck. So you may be asking, what are our unique values? First, we're foster focused. Other apps and websites make it so adoption is the main priority, while here at Companion Care, we make fostering the main priority. This also leads us to our second value, which is flexibility. We give the aspiring foster parents the choice when to foster and how long they want to foster. For our animal shelters, we are data driven, so they're able to track and manage where their animals are at, how long they're being fostered out for, and who's fostering with them. Lastly, we're easy to use compared to other apps and websites that have distracting colors, too many pop-ups, and just disorganized layout. Here's our prototype. So here you have the homepage, which has our solution and problem. You get to see our call to actions with brief descriptions on them on signing up as an aspiring foster parent or a partnered animal shelter. Then you get to see our features, such as the featured urgent pets and success stories. And then if you're an aspiring foster parent, you can click on our call to action, which will lead you to a form, and it will ask you many different questions. So we and the animal shelters near you can see the compatibility that you have with animals near you. If you're a animal shelter looking to partner with us, you can go to our partner page, which gives you multiple reasons why you should partner with us, such as time-saving tools, expanded reach, and then they're also able to see our tiered plans, which go for $15, $35, and $50 a month, and you're able to see the features with them.
For competitors, we have Pet Finder and Politics. Our website, like theirs, would connect to animal shelters and work with them directly. But our website is also a little different. Our website is user-friendly and easy to navigate, as well as foster-focused, focused solely on fostering, not adoption. Meet Annie Lee. She is a 27-year-old shelter manager who works with animals and often finds herself busy and stressed trying to organize everything. so she could use some help. We plan to get our customers by reaching out, which could be through social media or community outreach, which we will then offer partnerships. We plan to keep them by showing them the results of our website as well as providing a stable support system, and we plan to grow them by later launching an app and hosting community spotlights. We plan to stay in touch with our customers through newsletters or emails, which will keep them updated and let them know about any upcoming community events.
So, for our ad, the first 7 seconds is our first problem, which is the overcrowding problem within U.S. animal organizations. 7 to 12 seconds is our secondary problem, which is the lack of companionship, trying to get a variety of audience. 12 to 15 seconds is the trying to empathize with our audience. And then 15 to 20 seconds is a preview of our website. 20 to 26 seconds is the effects of our website. And then 26 to 30 seconds is our call to action with our landing page, social media, and other things like that. Now, let's see our ad.
Shelters are overcrowded. Thousands of pets are sitting, waiting for a second chance. And so many people feel alone, wishing for companionship. But finding the right companion shouldn't be this hard. Community Companion connects with animal shelters and fosters in one simple place. With Community Companion, you aren't just easing overcrowding, but saving lives. Be a part of our mission today.
Here we have our landing page, which gives you a brief description on who we are, and then it gives you reasons why you should join us as an aspiring foster parent or a partnered animal shelter, such as expanded reach, community outreach, and time-saving tools. And then for our animal shelters, they're able to see the tiered plans again with the features. And then lastly, you're able to sign up for our newsletter, which will send out updates on our website, potential events, and things like that. For our ad campaign timeline, first we'll launch the ad on Instagram, but we later want to expand onto other social media platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and many more. And then around the second week, we want to collect data based on who's clicking the video, who's going to our landing page, who's signing up for the newsletter, such as age, gender, and things like that, so we can cater our prototype to our audience. And then around 3 weeks, we'll send out our emails to the people who signed up for the newsletter so we can get in contact with them. For our assumptions, we feel that people will feel empathy towards this problem, that shelters will be interested in paying for the features that we have, and that people will start to trust the platform enough so they'll either be a partner with us or they'll be an aspiring foster parent. And we know we have succeeded when people start to become interested in fostering, when animal shelters want to partner with us, and then we get positive user feedback, not just on our website, but also in our business in general.
For our TAM, our total addressable market, we are targeting the animal shelters within the United States. It'll give us about a revenue of about $2.5 million. Our SAM targets the animal shelters within only the West Coast, so California, Oregon, Washington, and Alaska. It'll give us a revenue of about $700,000, and our SOM with an 11% conversion rate gets us about $75,000. For our first key metrics is to have a profit of over $80,000 within the first year, over 200 partnerships with animal shelters focused solely in the West Coast, and 10,000 followers across all social media accounts.
So let's go back to that statistic I said in the beginning. In the first half of 2025, 290,000 animals were euthanized. That's about 1,920 lives lost every day. At Companion Care, we believe it doesn't have to be this way. With Companion Care, we are building a website called Community Companion that bridges the gap between animal shelters and aspiring foster parents. We are empowering younger generations, busy professionals, and compassionate individuals to make a difference within these animals' lives. Because at Companion Care, we're not just easing overcrowding, we're saving lives, one foster home at a time. Thank you.
If you ever go back to the ad so I could scan the QR code. Normally at the end of your presentation there's a QR code we can scan to actually see
Shelters are overcrowded. Thousands of pets are sitting, waiting for a second chance. And
Got it.
Oh, that's
Did anyone else want to scan it or?
Go back.
Okay.
shelters are overcrowded,
You should go, yeah, pause it and then.
saving lives. Be a part of our mission today.
There you go.
Sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna start really quickly since I already kind of did that now. Most of my feedback is already on this paper, but I just want to address a couple things. One, very good presentation, professionally dressed, perfect. Dressed similarly, you were both believable. I think in the very beginning, how you ended, you talked about stats and euthanization. You really went into saving these pets' lives and also creating a companionship. But I think your ad didn't focus on that, and I think your ad should really speak to pulling on the heartstrings of the euthanization and lives that are being lost and pets that are being murdered and killed. I think that potentially could, as well as the companionship, I think there should be a focus there. Do you both have pets?
I do.
Okay, so both have pets. You're very hard to hear. I mean, extremely hard to hear. So, as a team, how you're projecting your voice really well, you got to work on that together because it is extremely hard to hear you. I think your get, keep, grow slide is really, really good. And let me just say this one last thing, and I'll pass it on. I didn't see your costs. You showed a really
It was
huge
really
profit.
quick. Yeah, can you just put up the cost?
Yeah.
That would be helpful for us.
You pulled up a really huge profit, but didn't break down your COGS. You didn't. I can see what you're putting into marketing and all that stuff. I didn't know how you're getting to that number. How do you know that that's your profit if we didn't see a breakdown of your costs, your expenses?
Can you just go back to like how much you were paying? I think that was going to be part of my question.
The revenue or?
Where the monthly charge was like $15. You get this, and you get this, and this.
Oh, it's in here.
Yeah, they're
Oh.
a little further.
That
Just
should
a little
be
bit long.
That should be in the slide. That's good.
That's fine. Okay.
So,
Well, I'll segue into that because I'm kind of I always look at kind of the nuts and bolts of that. First of all, great presentation. I like the concept. It's funny because our dog died, and I don't want another dog, but we take care of our kid's dog every weekend, and it's fun, to have the dog around for a weekend. So I think this concept, I'm in the baby boomers, just to let you know. But I just thought that's, interesting concept. And I think you guys did a great job. I think it's very well professional, highly well done. A little quick, I would like, here spend a little time on some of the nuts and bolts, like the costs and things like that. But he made a good point is, I'm thinking, okay, it's $15 a month. Some of the things that are going in my head is, okay, how many of those do you need? I think you said 200 plus, so you had $80,000 profit. So how many of the 15 or 35 or 50, what percentages are you looking at? Are you looking at, mostly people are gonna do the $15 a month, is it 35, 50? You kind of have to figure out, where do you think your cash flow is gonna come in? Is it gonna be on this side or that side? I mean, if it's $50 a month, obviously, yes, it's higher margins and so forth. But he made a good point is, I'm thinking about, okay, you're partnering with the shelters, right? So this is going to be somehow logistically connected to them in some way. It's got to be a lot of logistics for a dog, for the animal shelters to take a dog, receive the dog, or put the dog back in, put all these processes, what do they make? So I'm kind of thinking, okay, that's part of the COGS is, what do they get out of it? Because I know that a lot of people do it for, they want to protect, but they got to make money too. So that's kind of some of my thinking is, how do you work with them? What's their payoff? How much do they get? That kind of thing. So it would be really helpful to know a little bit more about, out of this $15 a month, let's say, just in round numbers, let's just say that you're using that. How much of that is going into expenses? How much is going to ads? You're talking about ads. How much are you going to spend for that? What do the animal shelters get? What are you paying yourself? All those things need to be kind of considered in that. It's just, because then you got to need to know how many of these monthly things you're going to need. So I just need to know from, if I'm an investor, just from a profitability point of view, these are things that I need to know in order to say, I love the concept, I love this, but is there money to make on that? It still comes down to that, So those are just some of my questions would be that. Other than that, I think you did a great job. I love the concept. If we could just nail down some of those specific things, then, I think you'd have, it just gives more realistic opinion and say, yeah, not only is this really cool, and I love the altruism and all the compassion stuff, but it's also very possible business. Okay. Thanks.
In the beginning, you stated a lot of statistics. I think maybe just something to consider is maybe stating some resources on where you found the statistics. There was even a part where you said somebody, not that somebody said, but you didn't state who said that. So I feel like if you go back to the research that you did and just state who said that, it would give you guys more credibility. The branding was amazing. I feel like your logo could be a little bit bigger, but that's just something small that would make a big difference. I love that you guys focused on the user-friendly for the website. I think a lot of these, how do I say it? Like animal shelter websites are very outdated, so the focus on that is going to make it more attractive to your clients, the fact that you're going to be able to streamline this better. Slower screen recording, or if we could slow down the screen recordings, that'd be great. No need to move the cursor around and highlight, the things. If you go slower, people can just notice those buttons and what they'll lead you to. Jasmine, I know you're like a little bit on the quieter side, but I do want to acknowledge that you've done way better than from like the first time that you pitched. So kudos to you. Just working on being a little louder. And then on the ad, like Mr. Chi said, a little bit more, let's say like clips or content where they're actually interacting with the pet and the owner or like the foster parent. I feel like that would be more impactful than just like a video of a happy dog. It's like addressing that because you're focusing on the loneliness issue, and I feel like that would be more impactful if you did add some content that way. A clear CTA on the landing page. I feel like there was a lot of information. Then you ask them for their information. Maybe condensing that a bit more so that you don't lose them while they're trying to scroll past all of this information. And then just a QR code at the end. It always works best. But yeah, other than that, really good job, ladies.
Okay. We've talked a few times, so I really appreciated it. Everything I wrote down on here brought a lot more clarity to our conversation that we had recently. And I agree, you guys showed up very professionally, and I really like it. And the tool you can do, and you did this really well, but just step forward a couple of steps when you're talking, so people can hear you, and then lean forward just a little bit. You don't have to do it a lot, and that'll help you project a little bit more. And I would recommend practicing. I know it's going to sound funky, but in front of the mirror. It helped me out a ton when I was able to go out and speak in front of crowds, because I sometimes stutter, and so when I get really nervous, and so that helped me a lot with pronunciation and confidence, and then I was able to project a little bit louder. So just be aware of that. And you don't have to memorize anything, which is really good about these slides, is you can actually see the words that you're talking to. So if you stepped over a little bit and looked at what you were saying, and us that just kind of moved over to us, we wouldn't know that you were just reading slides. Just so you're aware. There's some secrets to how people do this. I clocked you, and you were right at 10 minutes. So really good job with that. And I'm trying to figure out a way of like condensing the slides so you can say what you need to say, because some of it was repetitive. It flowed really, really well. I liked the flow of it. You guys did a really good job with that. and just when we meet next, we'll work on maybe the placement of the slides or how to get together. So I just flooded you with an email that probably blew your mind. And so just one step at a time, right? There was some clarity that Greg shared, which I thought was really on point, because there's two different buckets that you're making money in. One is right with the shelters, and one is with the consumer, like the person who's going to be receiving the animal. There's going to be a massive amount of work that the actual shelter does, and that's why I was pivoting away from the shelter so much and moving it towards maybe figuring out a way of partnering with a few shelters versus having all of the shelters, mostly because if they have two SOPs that they're working, I mean, I don't know, when I was at one of the shelters, it didn't look like they were all full-time people. They could have been volunteers working there, which could make that very difficult for somebody to do, because I think a lot of these shelters are nonprofits, and that would be something to do some research on. Overall, though, super impressed.
For me, with your ad, there were some clips that were like really dark that I know we're working on the projector, but it was pretty hard to see what was actually going on in the video. And then you should give a little more time at the end with the QR code so that people actually have time to get their phones out and scan it. So that they don't have to mess with the bar to make sure that it's on screen long enough, kind of thing. Overall, good. Yeah. I mean, this hasn't been said already.
Yeah, the virtue of being last is everybody's kind of touched on the key points that I would have made. Great job. Let me start with that. The one thing, and Kevin may be more familiar with this business than I am. That sounds like he's seen it before. It wasn't entirely clear to me. The consumers would be paying as well. I know the shelters, the TAM, the SAM, all of that's predicated on the shelters who would be supplying the animals. I assume that the consumer who's getting the animal to foster is paying something, but that was never sort of explicitly clear, to me at least. The other question I have, and everybody brings a different element to their judging. So we've got some people that are really focused on marketing and how you do it differently. I tend to think about the operations of how you actually do this if it were real. Is this going to be nationwide coverage? Is a shelter in Oregon going to be sending a dog to New York?
We're hoping it for just in the state, but if we have the resources, we would like to expand on that.
Okay. And I think that with that would come some logistical challenges. How are you going to do that? The other thing I would aim for is, we talked about fostering. That sounds like it is an ill-defined term. Are we talking an average of a month? Is it 3 days? Are we just sending a dog and you're like, dog, I don't like dogs. Never mind, you're going home. Right? What is that? The idea is we're trying to get them away from the shelter so they're not euthanized, but what is an ideal opportunity for this animal? Is it going to be a long-term placement, so we're looking for people that are really on that 3 to 6 month duration? Is it, I just need somebody watching for vacation? Anyway, again, I appreciate this is an MVP, you're just starting out, but operationally, these are the things that I would think of, and I might bring you the presentation for the next time. But good presentation, good timing, every slide was there. I think, again, everybody else has touched on every other point, but good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.